one now!
There have been 7 Mission Impossible movies so far, and it has always been a story of a fluid cast that revolves around the main character Ethan Hunt. People have been written off, or worse still, killed off to make way for newer faces, and there have been few constant characters in the long and adventure-filled journey of Ethan. Luther Stickell, played by Ving Rhames, however, is an exception, and his charismatic presence offers the much-needed calm in the chaotic IMF team. In this video, we will dive deep into his origins and take you through his role across the franchise, including the recent release. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin.
That exceptional piece of work.
Who is Luther Stickell, and how did he become such a crucial part of the IMF team? In the treacherous world of Mission Impossible, trust is not something that is easily available. Someone like Ethan always finds it difficult to rely on someone with sensitive information or find the faith to bank on someone to have his back in the most adverse situations. If you're familiar with the franchise, you will know that Ethan has been backstabbed and betrayed more than the lead character of a high school drama, and this is where Luther comes in. More than his credentials and abilities, his reliability is what made him one of Ethan's most precious comrades over the years. Luther's unwavering loyalty has meant that he supported Ethan even when the entire world was up against him, and this support came up against all odds with ignorance towards his own life. The character was introduced in the very first Mission Impossible movie way back in 1996, and it was one of the agents picked up by Ethan to infiltrate the CIA headquarters for a mission. He was hired by Ethan after being framed for betraying the IMF, and Luther was an important character in order to clear his name. It was an impossible task in every sense of the term, and Ethan desperately needed someone like Luther with exceptional hacking abilities. By the end of the movie, it was evident from a scene that Luther and Ethan shared a bond far greater than their professional relationship. They could have been sitting in a coffee shop and talking about their personal lives, which indicated their friendship beyond all professional barriers. This friendship has been carried forward in movies to follow in the franchise, and Luther went on to become an irreplaceable part of the IMF team and the right-hand man that Ethan always deserved.
Look at me. I know what I'm talking about. And you know I know what I'm talking about.
Exploring the origins of Luther and his entire story arc across the franchise. This senior intelligence operative was one of the best computer specialists, and he was an integral part of the Impossible Mission Force. How and when he joined the team is unknown, but he went on to become a disavowed agent and was forced to retreat into the shadows for going against his employers. His stint with Ethan Hunt began when the latter wanted to get his name cleared and recruited a team of operatives. Luther Stickell led the cyber ops for the operations, and his hacking skills were extremely handy in the mission. He was initially reluctant to become a part of the team, but Ethan played the master stroke of toying with his ego in order to convince him to join. Ethan's team members dressed up as firefighters to put out a blaze in the building, and this plan worked like a charm to infiltrate the CIA headquarters at Langley. He was also the one who hacked into the computer-controlled electric system in the building, and he triggered a fire alarm that required the firefighters in the first place. While Ethan goes about the mission, Luther is always in his ears via a headset, and he is the guy that makes the mission possible. Luther is also instrumental in retrieving the password for the CIA network to get crucial information about a potential mole in the IMF, and by the end of the movie, he gets reinstated for his services along with Ethan. This became the beginning of several adventures to come, and there was no looking back from this point. Luther was again recruited by Ethan to help him in a mission, which was to stop one of the former IMF colleagues named Sean Ambrose from releasing a deadly virus in Sydney. Luther uses a GPS tracking satellite to keep a track on Ambrose, and later, he also analyzed the virus and its potential abilities. Once again, when the time comes for Ethan to infiltrate a building for the mission, Luther's skills paved the way as he hacks into the electronic system of the building. This time, however, Luther got himself in some serious trouble when a bomb was planted on his van, nearly killing him. This would have gotten Ethan stuck inside the building without any guidance, but Luther managed to escape in the nick of time with some minor injuries. He then repaired his damaged laptop and continued to assist Ethan in the mission by being his eyes. Luther was a key character in the climatic moments of the movie where he tracked down someone infected by the virus to administer the cure. The following Mission Impossible movie shows Luther being sought after by Ethan after his protege, Lindsay Ferris, is kidnapped by the notorious Owen Davian, an arms dealer. Once again, Luther serves as the second set of eyes that guides Ethan to the maze of buildings during the mission. He also activates remote-controlled sentry guns to take care of anyone who could possibly challenge Ethan. While the mission was successful, they couldn't save Lindsay, who died from an explosive planted in her head. Following this setback, the team was reprimanded by the executive director of the organization, but the likes of Ethan and Luther were keen to get their revenge. It gets interesting from here, as Luther is the one to solve the mysterious message sent to Ethan from Lindsay before her death. He also develops a special encoded voice patch for Ethan in order to pose as Owen Davian, and eventually helps him in capturing him. Unfortunately, the team learns a little too late that the executive director was actually a mole working for Owen, and the situation worsens when Owen is rescued by his men after kidnapping the convoy that was taking him in. In an attempt to get back at Ethan, Davian kidnaps his fiancée, and Ethan finds himself in all sorts of trouble when Luther is separated from him briefly. However, things are soon back to normal, and Luther is able to help him steal the much sought-after Rabbit's Foot, the mysterious object that caused all the drama in the first place.
I blew an entire weekend on the bottom of the San Francisco Bay.
Why was this character barely present in Ghost Protocol? It is not often that you witness one of the reliable and recurring characters of the franchise being relatively absent in one of the biggest movies in the series. Thus, it came as a surprise for many to see Luther's character being shockingly underused in Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. His cameo role was staged after the mission had already been completed, and the fans were left questioning the reasons behind his absence. As it turned out, Luther did not miss out because of any creative differences or scheduling conflicts with the actor. Ving Rhames revealed during an interview with the MovieWeb that the budget cuts for the movie meant that his claims for a hefty fee of $7.7 million could not be met. We have to admit that it is a steep price to ask for even an A-lister, but it is not clear if his demands were met for the cameo or they came to a settlement. However, it is for certain that all the monetary conflicts got resolved, and Rhames soon found his feet back in the franchise. He returned for the 5th, 6th, and 7th movies in the franchise with much more substantial roles, and it is clear that all previous issues are now water under the bridge. Luther's role in the franchise following Ghost Protocol. After his shocking absence from the events in Ghost Protocol, Luther was back in action, and we get to see how true his loyalty towards Ethan Hunt is. When the IMF is shut down and Ethan is wanted by the CIA for his efforts to take down a rogue spy network called the Syndicate, Luther steps down from his role so that he wouldn't have to betray Ethan. However, he is soon called back to assist Ethan, and even as others around Ethan are apprehensive about his plans, Luther never doubted him for a second. When William Brandt, an analyst working at the IMF, wondered if Ethan's ways will end up providing money in the wrong hands, Luther refutes his claims by showing how much he values Ethan's thinking. He says that Ethan is always the best qualified to analyze every option, and if he had decided on something, then there is nothing to doubt about his decision. True to his fate, Ethan's plans eventually work out, and the baddies are lured into the trap they laid out for them. The next story arc actually starts off with Luther being held hostage and Ethan staging a daring rescue mission. This also ends up helping the antagonists escape with nuclear materials for a weapon, but once Luther is back, they all head out to track them down. It is revealed that some members of the Syndicate are still functioning, and in one of the most nail-biting climaxes ever, Ethan is able to disarm the warheads to prevent a catastrophe. Of course, Luther is once again a key component in disarming the warheads, and even Ethan's ex-wife Julia helps him on this mission.
Ethan, what's your objective? What's your ultimate objective?
He has a key role in Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. For the recent release, Ethan Hunt and his team are up against a much greater adversary than ever before. It is a rogue artificial intelligence called the Entity, which has accidentally gained sentience and has some sinister plans for the world governments and balance of power. Ethan, Luther, and Benji head out to Abu Dhabi International Airport to intercept the key that is required to destroy the Entity. Here, Luther identifies a bag that contains a nuclear explosive sent out by the Entity, and they barely manage to defuse it, only to find out that the bag was empty. Later, when Ethan and Ilsa infiltrate the party of an arms dealer in Venice, Luther provides them with some key logistics support. Throughout the movie, Luther helps Ethan stay one step ahead of the Entity, even predicting what the malicious AI tool expects him to do. It is Luther who advises Ethan to not kill Gabriel because the Entity would expect him to. From what we've seen so far, Luther is going to play a key role in the next movie as well, and aren't we geared up for this next appearance? Luther was nearly killed off in the very first movie. Not many are aware of how Luther wouldn't have existed long enough to be featured in the following movies in the franchise after his first appearance. While Brian De Palma's 1996 blockbuster became a turning point in the career of Tom Cruise, it also shaped up Ving Rhames as a prominent actor. However, the actor later revealed that his character was initially supposed to die within the first 15 minutes of the movie, and it was going to be the same fate for the other team members. Ving Rhames jovially remarked about how it was such a stereotype movie move to kill off the side character way too quickly, and the director actually changed his mind following the discussion. The presentation of Luthor may have changed from the mysterious and serious character to a comedic sidekick and back to being a gritty character in the latter movies, and we the fans are grateful for the decision to keep him alive and kicking. How has Luthor managed to survive throughout the franchise? It is safe to say that Luthor has been at the heart of every story, playing a role that is almost second to Ethan Hunt, and it is all because of the decision to not kill him off in the first movie, as we discussed. Over the years, Luthor developed quite a fan following, and it is not surprising that someone of his caliber demanded more screen time and importance. With this ever-growing importance and popularity of the character, the makers could never really bring themselves to end his role in the franchise. Ethan Hunt doesn't have too many faithful folks to bank on, and it would have jeopardized the missions even more if Luthor was taken out of the scheme of things. It is not easy to grab attention in a movie franchise that features the evergreen Tom Cruise as the lead actor, and credit is due for Ving Rhames for breathing so much life into the character of Luthor. Over the years, he has grown to become someone that Ethan can trust and rely on with his life, and the saga continues even as they all enter their trickiest mission in the new movie. We'd love to see a lot more of this character in the upcoming Mission Impossible movie, because what's a hero without a few great allies? Do let us know in the comments below about your thoughts on the character, and don't forget to tell us how you've liked the new Mission Impossible movie.
If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.